Water plays such a very important role in the fight against poverty. If you look at the Millennium Development Goals set out by the United Nations, all of those goals has water as a key part in their attainment. So for example, if you want to achieve improvements in healthcare, if you want to achieve improvements in education, equality, the fight against diseases, water plays a direct or indirect role in all of those. So let me give you a couple of examples. In Pakistan, between grades 2 and 3, more than 50% of girls actually drop out of school because they do not have access to a toilet. So if you want to achieve gender equality levels, if you want to improve levels of primary education access, then you need to ensure you have safe, clean drinking water for people. You also need to ensure you have access to basic sanitation facilities. In developing worlds as well, over 60% of all hospitalizations are caused by waterborne diseases, such as polio, such as diarrhea. So until you tackle that, you are not going to get improvements in the economy, you're not going to get reductions in infant mortality levels, you're not going to get all these health benefits which you get from investing in water and wastewater and sanitation. At the moment, there is this sort of silo thinking where water plays its role, energy plays its own role, and food plays its own role, and there's very little interaction between governments and between agencies and thinking on this subject. But that is not how we must look at this. There needs to be this nexus approach where water, food, and energy are all viewed together and all realize how interdependent they are. If you look at energy production, so much water is used in the production of energy. If you look in water production, so much energy is used to produce water. If you look at food, so much water is used to produce food. So 1 kilogram of grain uses over a ton of water. Take a kilogram of beef and that uses over 13 tons of water. So there are huge amounts of water used in the production of both food and energy. And until we realize that these are all connected, we're not going to ever achieve security in any one of these things. You will only achieve security in all of them when you look at them in an interconnected way. Well, it's really very important that governments start looking at more sustainable solutions. You have nearly 1 billion people in the world who lack access to clean drinking water. Nearly 2.4 billion people who lack access to basic sanitation facilities. Both of these things were laid out as basic human rights by the United Nations in 2010. So it is important that the governments act, but take into account that solving these issues is requiring a lot of energy, it's going to require a lot of focus. And what is the reality on the ground? The reality is that we're now living in a world where climate change is an issue. I think most people agree that climate change is happening and man has played a part in it. And what this means is that this is going to affect the developing world most. Southern Africa, South Asia, Southeast Asia, these are the parts of the world that are most at risk of climate change issues and problems. So what the governments have to do in these countries, if they want to solve the issues of providing drinking water and sanitation, is look at more sustainable solutions. Now at Pak Oasis, what I'm really proud that we're doing is we're looking at more sustainable solutions. And one of our products that we're sort of really trying to promote at the moment is solar-powered desalination and solar-powered ultrafiltration. What this does is this is harnessing the power of the sun to clean water or to make saline water sweet. Obviously, yes, there is a slightly higher capital cost involved because of the use of PV panels or whatever, but it is amazing really when you break it down to people how much cheaper it is in the long run for them, how much they're going to save. The operational expenditure, the payback time is incredibly fast when you take into account the savings in energy, savings in diesel costs, or the savings of electricity costs that you undergo when you're converting or moving plants onto solar power. Because of that, we're actually converting 750 plants that we have already in place onto solar power, and another 1,000 that we'll be building this year will all be powered entirely on solar power. So it's not just we're preaching it, but we're actually doing it ourselves on previous projects we've done because it really is the way forwards, and governments hopefully will see that. Well, private sector companies definitely have a very big role, but everyone first and foremost has a role to play. Private companies, governments, the public, all stakeholders. Without action from all these groups, whether it's in water conservation, whether it is in water treaties, whether it is in finding more sustainable solutions. Without action by all these groups, you're never going to achieve water security. Now, private companies like Pak Oasis, we can offer a number of things. Firstly, we can help educate the public on the importance of water conservation. Obviously it's very important that the end user realizes this is a precious resource and it should not be wasted. There's also a role for us to play in helping encourage governments to take a more sustainable approach and to take a more integrated approach. So looking at more integrated water resource management, realizing that the Department of Agriculture, Department of Irrigation, Department of Public Health, Department of Industry, Department of X, Y, and Z, they all have some role to play in how water is used in a country. And so there needs to be a greater level of communication and a greater level of thinking by all these departments. And so one role we're helping play is trying to encourage governments to take a more holistic approach and say, okay, water and wastewater, they're not separate issues that should be dealt with by separate entities, and the second one canal, it gets to this point, it transfers to a different department. You need to look at things in a better way, because a river, a stream, a canal, it runs through a country, it affects people in many different ways for many different things. So it's important to look at these in a more overall way. As well as that, our job is also to help develop new technologies and solutions, to pioneer new ways that will allow, countries to overcome these issues and to ensure water security for their people going forwards in the future. We've, here at Pak Oasis, we've had a really fantastic summit here. We've really enjoyed meeting with some other companies which are innovating as well and really new ways, bringing other products to market. We've met with delegates from a number of countries who have expressed an interest in what we're doing, what we've done in sort of South Asia and the Middle East, and looking at bringing that to Southeast Asia and bringing our expertise and products to this part of the world. So it's really been a very beneficial summit for us, and we've hope to be here again next year.